man, this is where the party at.
Guys, I'm just going to shoot the shit on this one. I've got no script prepared and I've got no forward planning done as such. I just want to get this done out of the way so I can move on to the next project, okay? Because God of War 2018, I find, is so overrated, and I'm not even surprised at this point. I'm disappointed, but I'm still not that surprised. And I'm not surprised because I've seen it in other Sony games as well. Sony exclusives, just like The Last of Us. The Last of Us is an overrated game. I thought that from the very first time I played it. It's got great graphics, it's got great sound design, it's got great acting, but the story is average and the gameplay certainly is average as well. And to me, gameplay in a game matters more than any other shit. And that's where I'm coming from in this particular review. And when I say review, I do mean that very loosely this time around, guys, because really what this video is a direct response to those high-ranking review scores led by the likes of IGN and GameSpot, you know the ones, guys, that I'm talking about, who are giving this game 9s and 10s out of 10. And while I haven't actually played through the entirety of this game, in fact I've only played about 15 hours of it, I can quite honestly say to you that in that 15 hours I know where the game's going, and it's given me plenty of time to know that if I continue on my journey in this game, I'm not going to enjoy a single aspect of it. Literally, when I was playing this game, my face didn't change at all. I was there stone-faced. In fact, I looked a bit like Kratos. I'm going to talk about the good stuff that I did enjoy about this game. First of all, how the game starts. I think it starts off really, really well. More specifically, the introduction to the actual characters themselves, Kratos, the God of War, or Strength, I'm still trying to work that one out, and his son, Atreus, who's pretty much the depiction of a lot of kids out there. He's very young and feisty, very energetic, and he's very eager to learn, and he's very eager to prove himself as maybe the successor to Kratos. But the thing that really got to me in this segment was, of course, what I think got to a lot of people playing this particular part of the game. Kratos' wife and Atreus' mother, Faye, is dead, and we don't know why she's dead, at least not in the first handful of hours that I played. And I don't think you actually get to find out how she died. I don't think that's even the point. It's not really worth considering. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe you could tell me in the comments. But the thing that really touched me was she's on the pyre, she's burning, and even the lead up to this is quite, you know, it does touch the soul, it really does. But when that music goes and he's placed her on the pyre, the flames are going, and you just see Kratos there in his stoic and quiet, dignified mourning of his wife, you know. I just thought was so in character, and even more than that, genuinely did touch every part of my heart and soul. It really did its job well, so I really appreciated that. And based on this scene alone, you know, I thought we're in for a hell of a ride here. Unfortunately, after the first hour of the game, where you're just kind of getting used to the game's mechanics, how to jump over shit, how to collect stuff, the little puzzles involved, that kind of thing, it really started to fall short for me. Now don't get me wrong, the intro to this game isn't the only good thing about it, okay? Of course it goes without saying that God of War 2018 editions has some great graphics going for it. And I should mention at this point, I should have mentioned this earlier to be fair, but I'm playing this on the PlayStation 5 with the 60 frames per second upgrades, and all the while playing on my OG OLED TV, which happens to be a nice 48-incher, okay? It's looking fantastic. It's just, graphics can only get you so far, and that's how I've always seen games in general. Once you start going into the gameplay, it starts to fall apart for me, and this is coming from someone who's played a lot of games and is quite good at them as well. Now the gameplay is the biggest reason why I wanted to make this video. It's all about the gameplay, and what this game does is it takes games that came before it, really good games, and it implements certain things about those particular games into it, but it does it far less effectively. For example, the combat system is slow, chunky, clunky, and it doesn't feel very fluid, and it feels very amateur and clumsy, and I didn't like it at all. It just felt restrictive. I just felt like I could have been doing far more grandiose combos, especially for a character like God of War. You know what I'm talking about? I was like, what's going on here kind of thing. And I'm sure I've missed some detail, some small little detail there, which I'm sure someone in the comments will indulge me with. The fact that this big-ass Kratos demigod guy you know, he's there beating the shit out of all these enemies, which are taking lots and lots of hits. You know what I'm talking about? And then there's the rage system as well, which is taken from other games, again, such as Dante's Inferno. And I know Dante's Inferno came off of the likes of God of War back when it was a kind of like a hack and slasher kind of a game. And it's very different these days. But it takes the kind of aspect of Dante's Inferno and even Devil May Cry, where you hit both the thumbsticks once you've got enough power, and you can just unleash this fury of power. But even then, he feels weak. He doesn't feel like this God of War. I didn't feel empowered. That's it, guys. I didn't feel empowered at all playing this game's combat mechanics. I really didn't. And then there's the RPG elements in the game. Now, you get to upgrade your armor and your weapons via this kind of RPG elements. And to be more specific, you know, through these various and lots of different types of chests that you collect throughout the game, which act as very empty dopamine hits. I see right through that shit. It's very, very transparent, and I'm not having any of it. The chests in this game offer nothing. Well, they do, but what I mean by that is that they offer nothing great, nothing that truly gets you excited, or nothing that got me excited. Again, I can only speak for myself in this particular video. But like, you get like bits of cloth and metal to upgrade your armor or your weapons, as I say. But in order to do so, you've got to navigate these real convoluted menu systems. And even then, the descriptions of what you've collected and what you're supposed to do, although it kind of gives you a tutorial, I can only speak for myself. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. It didn't explain it to me in a sense where I could actually be confident in what I was doing. Some of the times I was upgrading my gear, I was just taking a guess. Like, I think this is actually better. So I didn't really get any satisfaction from this. And I just come off of Demon Souls, and there's like a hell of a lot of RPG elements in Demon Souls. Maybe not the most that you get out there these days, but Demon Souls had an RPG system that at first was a bit confusing, but the way it was laid out and the way that you got to navigate throughout the menu systems made it easier in no time. With God of War, none of that. It's just very convoluted. Everything's just there. It's quite messy to a degree. So yeah, the RPG element just isn't as good as the likes of, let's say, Demon Souls. I will say that I did actually appreciate the fact that there are puzzles in this game, and not even just half-assed puzzles. Granted, a lot of the time you're doing the same kind of puzzles, but I'll be honest, there are a few bloody good head-scratchers in this particular game, so props to the guys for making these kind of somewhat original puzzles involving the axe that you throw, Kratos' axe. But it was a bit tedious after a while doing the same ones, as I say, but I still appreciate the fact that they implemented puzzles here. It kind of spaced everything out nicely, but after playing 10 hours of the game, it just got a bit tedious, along with the RPG elements and especially the combat system. Now, I think it would be quite unfair of me if I went balls deep and criticised this game's story, because I've not played the game in its entirety, right? But what I have played, I can certainly make this claim, and I know a lot of you will appreciate this. The guy who plays Kratos, don't know his actual name, but I know he played Teok. Very recently I came to this awareness. He played Teok in Stargate. The guy who plays him was cast extremely well. And even better than that, he does a fantastic job, guys. He really does a fantastic job. And what I'm really getting at here is the subtleties. When he's subtle, it's the best acting I've seen in a game in a long time. Just when he's talking to his son, when they're going out hunting, or little kind of scenarios, in his subtleness, in his kind of stoicness, he plays him so damn well. As for the rest of the cast, you know, they do their job pretty darn well. There's no character in here that doesn't really shine with personality, and I absolutely respect and appreciate that. But I do feel a bit of immersion breaking when you run across like the Witch of the Woods, or even Atreus at times, and they don't sound like they should in this particular narrative. They seem too American or seem too modernized. You know what I'm talking about? The way they talk just feels a bit too modernized for my liking. I think they should have maybe incorporated a bit more old style dialogue in there, but maybe that's just a personal preference of mine. I'm not sure if anyone else feels like that. But the acting is solid all round, and like I say, I really do appreciate that there's a lot of personality in this game. But I'm going to round things off now, guys. I told you I wasn't going to spend too long on this one. So, you know, the graphics, they're really, really great. The music and sound design is very good. The story you know, as I say, it's been done before plenty of times. You know, it's very easy and safe storytelling here. You know, this is essentially another odd couple story who eventually grow closer together through the adventure. You know, only now with a Greek or a Norse mythology kind of spin to it. You know, it's very, very The Last of Us in places. In fact, it's quite The Last of Us throughout the 15 hours that I played. The gameplay itself, you know, there's no originality there. There's no originality in the combat, not as such anyway. The skill trees, the traversal, it feels like it's missing a combo counter, but it doesn't have one because, again, casuals, you know. The game is very holdy-handy. You know, when you're jumping gaps, traversing ledges or climbing, you know, there's one way to go. There's no chance you can die. You know, it's all done for you, that kind of thing. The combat, as I say, it feels dull, clunky and mashy. The player gets their dopamine through frequent item pickups and meaningless shrines and collectibles throughout the game. This is just like playing a mishmash of X, Y and Z games, only with far less engagement and originality. Now, with all this being said, I'm giving the 2018 editions of God of War the true score it deserves, in my opinion of course, and that is a score of 7 out of 10. And to be fair, I'm being quite lenient there. I would like to give it a 6, but there's something inside me that does think that's going a bit too low. I think looking at it from others' perspectives, there's a great grandiose adventure to be had here. I think it does cater more to the casuals or people who don't really experience games that much. That's just my perspective on things. But I do think overall it just manages to get a good 7 out of 10 rating. Now, I really do want to ask you guys, if you love God of War, this is specifically to you. Please, I'm genuinely asking you, why do you rate the game a 9 or even a 10 out of 10? The more descriptive you can be, the better, quite frankly. Talk about the specifics, talk about the mechanics, the combat, the story. Go through in depth, please, because I'm not trying to kind of get you in a kind of gotcha scenario. I'm genuinely interested to know your perspective, and I ask this because I don't really see enough argument detailing why this game is so highly rated. I just see talk about the graphics and the story, and while I do see the odd comment detailing the gameplay, I always then automatically think about the games that came before it, as I've said in this particular video, and how much better they implemented the mechanics and storytelling, whatever the case may be. God of War praise almost always disregards the games it draws inspiration from, without fully addressing what I found to be the game's weaknesses, detailed in this personal perspective review. But please, post those thoughts down in the comments section. Be as specific and as in-depth as you possibly can. I will look forward to reading those, guys. And until the next video, thank you very much for watching, especially if you've made it all the way up to this part. It's very, very appreciated. And I'll see you all on the next video.